Good evening, everyone. Today we are discussing about key ideas in cognitive psychology. So, we are discussing about five major ideas in this cognitive psychology. The first one is that data can be fully understood only in the context of an explanatory theory, but theories are empty without empirical data. So, these explanatory theories are multivariable constructs used to make sense of complex events and situations. They include basic operating principles of explanation, most importantly, transferring new meaning to complex and confusing phenomena, separating out individual components of an event or situation, unifying the components into a coherent construct and adapting that construct to fit its intended uses. That means data will be fully understood in the context of these explanatory theories, but these theories are completely empty without the empirical data. The second idea is that cognition is generally adaptive, but not in all specific instances. That means this cognition is most probably adaptive, but in the case of in new context or new experience, that we are not able to adjust with that situation. So in that context only it is not adaptive, but most of the cases this is generally adaptive. And third idea is that cognitive processes interact with each other and with non-cognitive processes. So this helps to interact with each other with non-cognitive processes. Non-cognitive processes are communication, then interact with each other, like that processes are coming under this non-cognitive processes. So cognitive processes is interactive with each other with the help of non-cognitive processes. Then fourth idea is that cognition need to be studied through variety of scientific methods. There are some steps for scientific methods. So using that techniques, this cognition need to be studied. And all basic research in cognitive psychology may lead to applications, and all applied research may lead to basic understanding. So basic research that lead to the application process, and this applied research will lead to the basic understandings. Then next we are discussing about computer metaphor and human cognition. So high-speed digital computers gained enormous acceptance. So they are presently used in virtually every aspects of modern life. So it was discovered that they could perform functions that resembled human problem solving. So these computers got enormous acceptance, and they discovered that it could perform functions which are resembled human problem solving. We can see two contexts here. Computers do well, humans do poorly. In the case of some statistical analysis, mathematical problems like that cases, computers helps very well. In that humans cannot do such a way. Not in the case of every human, those who are not thorough about the statistics or mathematical problems, they will be very poor in doing such things. In that context, computers helps well, but humans do well, computers do poorly or not at all. That means in the case of emotional acceptance or emotional feeling, that everything emotional understanding, that all do well by human beings, but computers don't know how to handle that situation. Not at all, they are not able. So in that context humans do well. So these are the major problems. Despite this problem, a second generation of cognitive computer scientists is working toward building computers believed that computer is like something like a brain. So these computers called neural computers, and they act like humans than the earlier versions. So these were the advanced versions, and they could act like humans than the earlier versions. So they are able to make generalization and understand complex visual patterns, are slow at math and make witless mistakes. So they were able to make generalization and understand the complex visual patterns also. Although they do not have emotions, they are nevertheless a mark of success. There are fundamental difference between the internal working of computers and the internal working of the brain. So they do not have the capability to understand emotions, but also they marked as a success. And there are fundamental differences between the internal working of computers and the internal working of the brain. Computer metaphor continues to have a profound and generally positive impact on the development of cognitive psychology. Next, we are discussing about cognitive science. Cognitive science means it is the convergence of these three areas, that is computer science, neuroscience and cognitive psychology. So the boundaries between these disciplines are sometimes hard to distinguish. There we discussed about three disciplines, but the boundaries between those disciplines are sometimes very hard to distinguish. So the science of human cognition undergoing a radical transformation as a result of major changes in computer technology and brain. So there are very radical transformation undergoing in the case of science of human cognition as a result of this major changes in computer technology and brain science. So cognitive psychology makes full use of recent discoveries in neuroscience and computer science that illuminate the cognitive properties of the human species. Next slide is about neuroscience and cognitive psychology. As we know, neuroscience, that is the study of human nervous system, how the nervous system works or how it is structured, how it is developed. Like that studies are coming under this human nervous system. This neuroscience sometimes referred to as neural science. So, the cognitive psychology, that means it is the scientific study of mental processes. Those mental processes are attention, language use, memory, perception, problem solving, creativity and reasoning. Cognitive psychology originated in 1960s in a break from behaviorism. This break came as researchers in linguistics and cybernetics as well as applied psychology used models of mental processing to explain human behavior. Up to 1960s there was behavioral studies only. The break came in this era, and this break was very helpful to the researchers in linguistics and cybernetics and also in applied psychology. Much of the work derived from cognitive psychology has been integrated into other branches of psychology and various other modern disciplines such as cognitive science, linguistics, and so on. So the domain of cognitive psychology overlaps with that of cognitive science, which takes a more interdisciplinary approach and includes studies of non-human subjects and artificial intelligence. Cognitive psychology is more focused on cognitive variables such as memory, attention, and consciousness. Cognitive psychology is based on thinking about the thoughts people have and how they influence the behavior. So it is based on the thinking process, and that thinking process varies person to person, how they think or how the thinking influence their behavior. So it is called a form of metacognition, that is thinking overthinking or thinking about thinking, like that. With the beginning of 21st century, cognitive psychology seems poised to make another paradigm shift. There was another paradigm shift. Traditional topics of perception, memory, problem solving are still central to cognitive team. The use of neurocognitive imagery promises to become one of the major means of investigating cognitive functions in this century. So the use of neurocognitive imagery promises one of the major means of investigation of cognitive functions in this century. And neurocognitive techniques have been developing very rapidly in the past several decades. So it allows us to deeper and more clearly into the brain, as the brain is believed to be the engine of our cognition. Virtually every area of cognition has been investigated with neurocognitive techniques such as MRI, PET, EEG, like that, and not only the structures of cognition but also the processes involved in that. So that's all about today's class. I hope you understood well. If you have any clarification, if you need any clarification, please comment. Thank you so much.